Well, you're entering the home of George Alfred Attlee, local steel magnate, owned the local ironworks and lived here. He was a local philanthropist, gave a lot. Well, I mean, there are other stories about him as well, madam, but I haven't got time to go into them. Gave a lot of money, benefacted this museum, gave this house to the nation, and we're very grateful for that. You'll enter into the art gallery, local art by local people. You then go through the museum shop and cafe. I said, I might have something left to eat. Into the guides, museum into our sculpture garden.
Andrew!
And then
how's it supposed to Thursday? Go have a look.
So into the sculpture garden and the museum. Studio Theatre is at the end of the museum campus. You are very welcome.
Hello, my name is Ulrike Furtwängler. I've been working for the museum full-time now for 3 years. I'm head of merchandising, and as such I really know most about the shop. But of course we are all of us staff, very keen about knowing the history of everything that's going on at the museum. The exhibitions have been extraordinary over the last 3 years, and this year, as part of the development of rebuilding the museum, we've actually come across this amazing remnant of the old Nunhead Hall, which burnt down in the Great Fire of London, and this was the Mrs. Heathen's parlour, which is the parlour that the housekeeper worked in, specifically with a window to the entrance, because she was very keen on keeping a tight check on everything that was going on in terms of staffing and affiliations of staff. So you can see we were amazed to discover it in such good form.
20 minutes before the next performance!
This is, by the way, the director, who is terribly busy with the performances. And
you've just missed Mulan, the Chinese opera, the full 10 minutes, the first time it's been performed.
And who's on next?
In 100 years. John Lunn and his magical theremins on next.
Fantastic.
A musical interlude.
Tell us, how, as you came out of the show, how was it?
It was fantastic. Fantastic, fantastic auditorium.
What have you learned?
Okay,
a lot about what you can do in skips in South East London.
Anything to
Any
add,
Chinese
Clive?
words?
It was very, very moving, and really words fail me at this moment in time, but I've never seen anything quite so extraordinary within 10 minutes in the shed in the back garden than this.
This is a rediscovered studio theatre with the iconic golden interior. The mirrored ceiling, and then the acoustic panels were absolutely groundbreaking at the time. The round golden acoustic panels that you can see there. There is the wall of stars. It was really found pretty much intact behind this bulldozed entrance, and we are absolutely thrilled and have been celebrating.
Fraulein Stadtland never lets me get a word in edgewise. This was the theatre closed in 1967. Unfortunately, it was a hotbed of dissent, and Lewisham Council just was not going to have it, and they bulldozed down the entrance.
Yes, I already said that.
And very oddly and strangely, we discovered it in the grounds of the museum, and we've opened again this weekend to allow the public of Nunhead a chance to see it.
She did not hear father and mother crying for her.
但闻眼山愁无头
Only the sound of the Yangshan hordes on their horses.
Well, these are the original documents from the Nunhead Free University. Now, the lecturers, professors squatted the theatre, which is why originally we've not had very good dealings with Lewisham Council. It was bulldozed, the door was bulldozed shut in 1967, May 1967. These are some of the items that Professor Graham Jameson used to lecture from these. It was very heated debates, incredible, went on all night. But what they were proposing, Lewisham Council were concerned, very worried about. They're proposing, which again things don't change, free education for all, free universities for all, Graham was very forthright in his dealings with Lewisham, but sadly, what happened? Again, there's a conspiracy theory going on here. Now we have to take into account when this closed in May '67, Graham took his book How to Enjoy 1 to 10 Perfect Days in San Francisco, 1967 edition. Graham stayed for the 11th day, discovered drugs. So he talks about a conspiracy theory, the fact that Harold Wilson really closed it down. And now Harold Wilson, a working class Labour Prime Minister, but he was actually scared of the working class being educated. He was happy for them to stay where they were. He gave us the Beatles, 4 working class lads that conquered the world, but after that, that was enough. he was frightened. He didn't like being challenged by Graham. So a lot of this was lost. Graham has recently returned from San Francisco. Before I was made redundant, we've been having quite a few coffee mornings with him, trying to get an oral history of this period together. But as you can gather, so many years in San Francisco, Graham's brain is a bit addled. You'll see in his various books, lampshade making. Now this is quite a terrifying book. But somebody asked me the other day, if I bought this to make lampshades, would it help me make lampshades? No, it wouldn't. The Lord Chancellor will not even let us put a caption with this book. George Gallatley, when he was building his city, he had the gasworks, the steelworks, the pottery. He did not advocate education for his workers. He wanted them at the mill. They used to come here every night. They'd come to the studio theatre and would party and debate. George Gallatley would knock every morning. They would all be sat there with their lampshade making books. But inside that, there were diatribes against Gallatley, the industrialists, the capitalist system. It was all in there. And they worked out a complete economic system that wouldn't not be in the situation we're in now.
Good afternoon. We're very privileged to be with Professor Jameson, who has agreed to an interview. He's torn himself away from his books, and Professor, thank you for joining us.
Well, it's a privilege for you.
It is, and I will curtsy always in future.
Please,
but Professor, we're here gathered in this beautiful setting because I understand you have a deep interest and concern about what is going on here today.
I do, because I was in the vanguard of the Free University in 1967, and we were the trailblazers for Les Événements in 1968 in Paris. In fact, most of what they know, they learned from us. For instance, Danny Cohn-Bendit he visited here at my invitation, and it was a brief flowering of radical politics in the late 60s.
I want you back!
Oh, I want you back! Don't you know, baby girl, that isn't right. Get down, steps on the ground, following that girl about, don't you want around? Oh, baby, give me one more chance. Tell me that you love me, won't you? Please let me back your heart.
You watch programs like Newsnight or Al Jazeera. What they don't show you is where the politician has been sitting down. And there's often a little moist reminder.
Absolutely. And perhaps if they were to show us, it would be a better understanding of the world that we are all human.
We're all basically flesh, fur and feces, as the poet says. Good old Tom Elliot, God bless him.
And that's all we have time for, Professor. Thank you very much for your eloquent and articulate insight into the modern world.
Well, I hope you've learned something from talking to me, because most people do.
Oh, I have, Professor. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Everybody switching sides, trying to don't see what anyone can see.